FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And man, it's been a while since I've made another video here on YouTube. It's been like 4 months. My goodness. We're already into April now of the new year. So I hope everyone had or has had a good New Year's, good Christmas, all that good stuff. But listen, we're back on YouTube making videos. And the first video we're going to start off with is I'm going to show you guys how I selected the pairs that I trade. So what's the process that I used in order to select the pairs that I actually trade? Because I trade the same pairs every single time that I trade. I don't trade any other pairs. So what was that process like, and how did I come to the conclusions of the pairs that I traded? And I'll tell you guys what pairs I trade and everything like that. So without further ado, guys, let's get the video going. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in and let's answer the question. What are the pairs that I trade? So the pairs that I trade are pretty simple. It's Euro NZD, Euro AUD, Pound NZD, and Pound AUD. And the fifth one is GU. That's it. Those are the 5 pairs that consist 95% of my trades, are those right there. If for any reason I do not find any trades on any of these pairs, then I have 3 backup pairs just in case. And those are Euro JPY, so EJ, Pound CAD, and Euro CAD. So that's it. These are the primary pairs. These are the secondary pairs if there are no trades available on my primary pairs. Those are all the pairs. All right. So how did I get this list of pairs? How did I develop the list to begin with? So the first thing that you have to understand is that before you can select a pair, you need to actually have a strategy that works. Okay, so that's the first thing. You need a strategy that works. Number 2, once you have the strategy, you need to have a trading plan to go along with the strategy. And the trading plan itself needs to be a trading plan that produces results or has been verified to produce results. So meaning a strategy or a plan, a trading plan that's been back tested, right? Not over a month, but over several years of back testing data, that that if you follow this plan to the T over the long term, right, of consistently following the plan, it's going to produce a winning percentage for you. That winning percentage could be 70%, could be 80%, could be 90%, whatever the percentage is. But it has to be a winning percentage, obviously, because if you can't produce a winning percentage, what's the point of taking the trade? Or what's the point of using that specific strategy? With that being said, if you're new to the channel and you don't know what kind of strategy we use, just go to the playlist section and go to Trading with Market Makers. The entire strategy is there for free. Hundreds of hours of videos there for free. So the strategy that we use with Trading with Market Makers focuses on finding peak formation highs, peak formation lows, and trading away from them. and having a directional bias, and then basically finding, the 4 different types, 1, 2, 3, 4, of the patterns that we look for. Again, all of this is in the Trading with Market Makers playlist. Now that we have the plan, we have the strategy, we have the plan, what did I do to kind of narrow down all these pairs? Because this right here, if you look on the right side of the screen here, these are not all of the pairs, right? These are just some of the pairs that are out in Forex, right? That you can trade. There's way more than this, okay? For me, I looked at a couple different factors. For me to have a pair that I wanted to trade pairs that have an average ADR of plus 80 or higher. So plus 80 pips or higher a day. So the ADR on the pairs that I want to trade have to be 80 plus pips on a daily basis. So that's number one. That's the first thing. So that kind of helped me dwindle down the pairs easily. Because you could see like a lot of the pairs that you don't see on here, like, pound Swiss or not pound Swiss, but Swiss JPY or CAD JPY, AUD JPY. Some of those pairs, Euro Pound, they don't move 80 pips a day. Their average ADR is not 80 pips, right? So that's the first thing that you have to consider. If you're trying to find, how do you find the ADR of each pair? There's several different ways. The first thing is you can go on our app. So you can go to the Google Store or Apple Store, download our free app, and we have a tool there that gives you the ADR for the pairs. So after 80 pips, once I've identified the specific pairs that are at least 80 pips plus, now I want to go ahead and take my strategy, the trading plan that I have, and I'm going to back test it against those specific pairs. Okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a demo account, okay, and I'm doing basically 100 trades. Okay, so I'm doing 100 trades on each of those pairs. And so the question that I'm asking myself within, these 100 trades is, out of all these pairs that I take 100 trades on, which pairs am I most profitable in? What pairs do I understand the most? And what pairs do I absolutely hate? Because you're not going to love all of the pairs. And that's perfectly normal. 100 trades, and you're asking yourself those specific questions. One thing that you could do as well is that I would recommend doing is to journal each of the trades, each of the 100 trades for every pair, right? You're going to journal the trades. You're going to ask questions like, what time am I taking the trades? What's the entry? What's the structure? Am I coming off, peak formation low or high? What's the directional bias? What's the pattern? Confirmations? All those things you're going to type into the journal because you want to collect the data along with it. If you're doing the work, you might as well collect the data. Okay? You can create a free, journal using Google Sheets or whatnot. So we also have one in the app as well. You can go to tools and it'll have the journal there. If you're part of the mentoring program FXM Plus, you have a really sophisticated journal that we provide for you as part of the program. So you guys that are part of that already have that particular journal. But once you take the trades, 100 trades on a demo account, ask yourself those questions. What pairs do I hate? What pairs did I enjoy trading? which pairs did I find the easiest to understand and to follow, right? So it could be something like what pairs were easiest for you to identify peak formation, lows and highs, resets, and all that stuff. So the highest winning percentage pairs are the ones obviously that you want to go and select. Now, in my case, I selected those five specifically because I felt very comfortable in all of those, trading all of those pairs. Now, another thing that I enjoyed about the pairs specifically were with concern with Euro, the NZD and AUD pairs. So Euro AUD, Euro NZD. If you look at those two pairs, a majority of the time, they're going to be moving in the same direction. So if you look at, Euro NZD and let's say Euro AUD, they're both coming off peak formation lows. So your directional bias, obviously would be to buy on both. And then now you're just focusing in on, okay, what pattern, is it going to produce so I can actually take a trade? Okay. Also, another thing that I like about specifically, NZD AUD pairs, and even with pound NZD, pound AUD, it's the same thing. They both move very close to identical to each other. But one thing that you'll notice, at least I noticed this today when I was taking a trade on pound NZD. So on this trade today that I took on pound NZD, we're looking at this as a multi-session type 2 trade. And here's the first leg comes down to the second leg. You have the entry point, which is a star pattern here on the second leg, and the entries on the next, on this red candle here, which is a pullback candle. So look at this though. If you compare that to pound AUD, you could see that you can compare setups, and yes, they both go in the same direction, but the setups are different, right? The setups are different. So the better setup, if you look at both pairs, to me, the better setup was on pound NZD because the pattern that we trade, right? The pattern was very clear on pound NZD. On pound AUD, depending on the rules that you have for your entry, you could have taken this as a continuation trade in New York, but you really didn't have the types of confirmations that you would like to have when you compare that to pound NZD. Okay? So when you're trading pairs like pound NZD, pound AUD, or Euro NZD, Euro AUD, you're going to find that very likely they move in the same direction most of the time. So you may be looking, let's say, for a buy on both pound NZD, pound AUD, and then you just ask yourself, okay, which of the two pairs have the better setup? Which ones allow me to have a better entry? Which ones allow me to have a shorter stop loss and things of that nature? Once you do the demo testing of 100 trades, you pick out, the 3 pairs, 4 pairs, how many ever pairs you have. It could be a list from 10, it could be drawn down to 5. If you have only 5 pairs, it could be drawn down to 2. At the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is that you only need one really good pair. I have 5, right? But you may only need one really good pair. I know a lot of people that just trade one pair, and they make all of their money off of that just one pair. Is it possible to just trade one pair? Of course, yes. The more that you trade it, the more that you understand it, the more that you feel connected to that pair. The question really that you got to ask yourself is when you're selecting these pairs, ask yourself, what pairs did I find horrible to trade? What pairs did I absolutely hate trading? What pairs were hard to follow? The sooner that you can answer those questions, the easier you're going to make your life. Because you're going to get rid of the pairs that are not going to make you money. the pairs that you find most difficult to trade, or the pairs that you find most difficult to follow. So keep all of that in mind when you're going through that process. So now, once I selected the 5 pairs, now I can embrace myself, immerse myself into those specific 5 pairs. So now I can go take, let's say, pound and ZD. I can go back as far as I want to, depending on what software I'm using for backtesting. If you're using TradingView, you can go back a year and a half. If you're using other software, you may be able to go back as far as 10 years. So depending on what software you're using, depends on how far back you can go. But the important thing is that now you can actually spend time to really, really get to know that specific pair and all of its tendencies that it does. And so every pair has their own behavior that they like to follow. When you take someone on a date, you're asking a lot of questions. You're trying to understand how they think, how they are, what they like, what they don't like. It's the same thing here with these pairs. You're going back in time as far back as you can, and now you're really getting to know them. And I promise you, the more backtesting that you do on those specific pairs that you have the highest winning percentage of based on your trading plan, that you understand the structure, that you understand the movement of those pairs, that you actually like trading, it's going to change the way you trade. That will happen. But you got to have the right pair. And so that process is what I did to end up with those specific 5 pairs. That's what I did. As far as the backup pairs, I just chose the next 3 in line that I felt the most comfortable with. Now, I did not go back and backtest 2 or 3 years on Euro JPY, Euro CAD, or Pound CAD. I backtested them a little bit, maybe 6-7 months, right? But I didn't go into depth as I did with Pound NZD, Pound AUD, Euro AUD, Euro NZD, and GU. That's the process that I went through to selecting the pairs. And when you first get into trading, I've been doing this for 11 years now. When you get into trading, everybody has their favorite pairs that they tell you about. They love EU, they love EA, they love, Euro JPY or CAD JPY. There's a reason why people love their specific pairs. And everyone out there that you ask are going to have different pairs that they love. But they also have different pairs that they absolutely hate. And that is completely normal. And so that's the difference between someone who can consistently make an income out of trading versus someone who can't make an income out of trading. Personally, they don't do the work that needs to be done. I hope that you guys found a lot of value in knowing the process that I used to pick the pairs that I actually trade on a regular basis. If you guys need any more help, we have a new class starting on the 18th of April. So if you want to be part of that, the links are in the description. And if you want help with levels and finding peak formation highs and lows and things of that nature, basically if you want help doing this, okay, FXN Plus is going to be for you. That's also a link down below for FXN Plus, so you can have the knowledge of this. How to do this. You can take any chart and break it down like this, and you know exactly what you would be looking for. All right? So, guys, thank you so much. You can definitely expect us to be making a lot of videos now that we're back, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, guys.